Yeah, that did it. You got a magic button over there.
We got magic buttons everywhere, and I don't know what any of them do.
Sometimes they magically work.
Welcome back, Joe.
Welcome. Well, you live here, so I guess I can't say welcome back.
No, it's back.
Back?
Yeah, back from
in black.
Back from whatever the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
I've been.
Man, there's not even a guitar around here. I can't even play Back in Black.
Well, I can certainly arrange that.
That's
the one thing that we forgot is to bring a guitar out of the closet. And
man, well, you know what?
Excuse me, Jesus, it's always something.
He can play guitar tonight instead of us.
Okay,
right, Jimmy.
So it's saying it's not muted there, but is showing muted there. So I
no,
guess...
it's not showing muted there. It's all good. And as long as nobody out there in the peanut gallery says...
Well, see where it says unmute and there's a mic, a red mic with an arrow through it?
Oh, yeah.
But
that's... Watch this. Huh. That's so bizarre.
But nobody's saying they can't hear, so I guess I'm not paying attention to anything anymore. If it's working, I don't care. I don't want to know. I do this... I do this on a new design. The first time I turn something on, I just go. Whoever may be standing around that's got any technical chops, that, oh, aren't you going to turn it on by Variac? No, I'm not using the Variac. I'm just turning it on. Well, what if it blows? Okay, well then I'll know exactly what blew immediately. I won't have to gradually turn up a Variac to find out. I'll blow a fuse, smoke will start coming out, something that would make me go, all right. The spirit overload is directing my attention to whatever the problem may be, and I don't have to wait around. But usually things just light up and come on, and I go, okay, that's all. I don't want to know any more than that.
Here's something that I want to know. First of all, percentage-wise, how often have you fired something up and as soon as you fire it up, you just smoke something? That probably happens rarely, right?
Extremely rarely. Yeah, it almost never happens.
Okay, but when it does, is your immediate reaction normally like, fuck, or is it funny or is it obnoxious?
It's usually, I'm actually a little bit... I'm actually kind of relieved when smoke comes out because I was expecting that anyway. And when it works perfectly, I kind of go, oh, well, all right. Just the excitement of something emitting sparks and smoke is
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that gives me something to latch onto. Like,
all right.
There's something.
We're starting here.
Yeah, we're starting here.
Yeah, instead of.
I guess we have to plug a guitar in and play it and go, oh, that sounds good, and then we're done. It's almost like anticlimactic, actually. When we did the first Sound City production prototype, it had there was one wrong resistor value in it that was in the bias circuit, so it started smoking just because there wasn't anything wrong. It's just the resistor value was wrong, and so that needed to change so that it wouldn't overheat. That was it. But I went, oh, I forgot. There's two different. There's the 50-watt model and the 100-watt model, and the 100-watt model had a different bias resistor than the 50.
That's actually funny.
Right.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, we overlooked that because I didn't build the prototypes. You know, they were all built to a bill of materials.
Okay.
And that one resistor value hadn't been accounted for in the difference in the two bill of materials. So I turned it on. But that wasn't the funny part. The funny part was, I know exactly what that is, and I start walking over to the parts bins to grab a resistor.
Yeah.
With the guitar on, still plugged in the amp, and I yanked the amp off the bench, and it landed on the ground. It landed on the floor, and a couple of tubes got knocked out, and one of the tubes broke, and I went, And we
Like,
picked
this
it up.
is a
There was
very
no dents,
auspicious-
no damage, just one broken tube. Put the tube back in, changed the resistor, turned it on, and that was it. But it was
There. Sound is breaking up. Okay, so you guys are hearing it on your end too.
should be okay now, right?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a bug. We've had this problem a couple of times. I never knew what it was. Now I know what it is. There's something. There's a bug in the interface between the interface and the DAW that it just does this thing where it turns on and off. It oscillates on and off and on and off, and I don't know what.
It's not very helpful.
I just turn the interface off and back on, and it clears it up. So
Okay, all right.
um,
Hey, everybody. Seeing these comments. Hey, what's going on, Simon? Yeah, guys, we're back. It's been a while, right? It's been, I think, April was the last time we did a show.
yeah, true.
That was a rough May.
Hey, there was really a great comment. I think it was who was it that made this comment? Let me find it.
Mark saying we could start that we started on time, taking the piss.
Yeah, that was uncalled for.
It was way called for.
Let's see. Oh, it was somebody made a comment on Instagram.
Oh,
Let's see. That was really funny.
huh.
And it was where is it? Let me find it. I think I read it to you or something.
Huh. This is the non-interesting portion of the show.
Yeah, well,
guys.
it's gonna be. Well, you know, hey, we have to get our sea legs back, for crying out loud. Give us a break. Jeez.
Steve's on Instagram.
Yeah. Yes, I am, and I might just end up hanging out here. Who knows?
Anybody out there watch this show called "I Think You Should Leave" with Tim Robinson? You know this show? It's all these skits. It's the most absurd comedy show I've probably ever seen in my life. And one of the deals, it's like he's like a political debate guy, and it's like the advertisement for the show, and he's talking about how much of a tough guy he is, and I'll debate anybody. I'll throw down with anybody. And then he goes, and if I get stuck and I don't know what to say, I have no problem sitting on my phone and ignoring you for an entire hour.
Okay, I can't find it, but it went. I think I read it to you.
There he is.
Yeah, exactly. It was along the lines of, so since you're going to go radio silent on us, then either tell us what you're working on.
Oh.
And whatever it is you're working on, I'll take one of each of them and take my goddamn money now.
That was Carlos.
No,
Carlos is copping to it.
Was that you? No, it was... Oh, that's right. It was you. Okay, yeah.
Nice.
It was a hilarious comment. I went,
Nice.
Okay. So he finally reached his threshold of, I can't stand it any longer. What are you guys up to? You're holding out on us. And no, we weren't really holding out on you. It's just, when you build a sandcastle and the waves come in and just wipes out the castle, that was like what was going on for about a month. Every time we'd like make a few steps of progress, we would get 10 steps back. And
I had a novel virus, the HMPV virus.
and what exactly is that? I thought you had just some kind of flu or something.
No, I was tested for COVID and mono and strep, and had X-rays taken from pneumonia not once but twice. And there's this really wonderful virus out there. I think it's HMPV, and it's brutal, man. And then, as a result of it, I wound up with a sinus infection too, and it dick warts. No,
Not quite.
it's not the dick warts. It was all above here. But nice try.
It's all above here.
And then, like right when I was starting to get a little bit better, it was time to hop on a boat and go to Alaska. So I went to Alaska for a week.
So did you play on?
And
a
you were in
cruise?
Seattle.
Yeah, I went to
Right,
Seattle
at about the
to-
same
to
time.
do some family stuff,
Yeah. Did some butt stuff.
some butt stuff.
Some
Yeah,
OCD.
yeah.
butt
Did
stuff.
you actually play on a cruise or something?
No, I didn't play on a cruise, but I was on a cruise.
You were on a cruise.
Yeah.
You just decided to go chill out and.
Yeah, kind of a long story. Alyssa, her best friend's fiance is a ship captain, so he's licensed to pilot any ship in the entire world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, other than Navy destroyers or whatever.
Oh.
And so we got like this amazing deal on a cruise, and I'd never been on one before. So we did this Alaska inland passage. So in terms of latitude, even though it didn't work out this way chronologically, is Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, and then Glacier Bay, the national park up there, which incredible.
It's beautiful country.
It's enough to give you dick warts. No, wait, no.
Well, it's really funny that you said you got a deal, and you knew somebody with a license and special blah 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 blah. Well, I had joined this band in Seattle one time, and just before
What were they called?
I don't even remember, but just before I joined them, they were just like a club band, doing covers and
The dick warts.
playing. Yeah, they might as well have been. I mean, matching
So-
outfits and the whole bit.
So you were playing around Seattle with this band.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guitar player had come to a club where I was playing, and he came up and he says, "I'm putting together this new band." And the band I was in was starting to get threadbare anyway. So I basically had another gig to jump into as soon as this thing started imploding.
Were you drums or guitar at this
Drums.
point? Drums.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he just came up to me and says, "You're my drummer." And I went, "All right, when do I start?" I didn't ask any questions. I just showed up at rehearsal and I went, "All right, what are we doing?" And, "Oh, we're going to Alaska." And so we went to Fairbanks and played for a couple of months, and it was just...
You were Yukon Steve.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Just before I had joined with them, we had gone...
Wait, how
the
many
band
months?
that... What?
How many months?
It was 2 months.
What time of year?
January.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It was dark the whole time.
Yeah, it was amazing. I read
How long were the days?
I read the entire
Iliad.
trilogy. The
Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings. From
was the
cover
Tolkien
to
time.
cover.
You know what? That country, you're like, this is Lord of the Rings up there sometimes.
It was so apropos. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But it turns out that the booking agent that they used, this is how they burn in new bands.
Send them up there.
Send them up to...
And if you don't die, then
Right.
they'll book you for more stuff.
Right, if you don't get like run out of town at the end of
You
poking.
buy a Kodiak,
Yeah.
you ruin your liver.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
that's
You
all
learn
you do is
you learn how to
drink.
do you learn how to drink a half a gallon of what's that stuff Joe uses to make limoncello with that fire water?
Everclear?
Everclear.
Yeah.
My first time drinking Everclear. there were a lot of firsts on those trips, but apparently these guys were putting together a new band and going to a gig in Alaska for 2 months to recoup all the money they lost from their previous gig, which was a gig on a cruise ship that went up into that inland passageway area. And so they just thought, oh man, this is great. We got this gig and blah, 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 blah. So they get on, they're going up there. The boat docks.
Wait, this is before you joined? This is the previous iteration?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the cruise ship time.
Yeah. Okay. And the boat docks at
Dan, it's all butt stuff in one way or another.
Yeah.
Promise. We'll loop around. We're getting there.
I think it was called White Horse.
White Horse?
Yeah. It was like a little...
Is that near Juneau?
A little shithole up there someplace. And they offloaded everything at White Horse. And the band was like, why are we offloading everything? Oh, we're gonna party on shore one night. So they did. There's this place, and they go and they set up all their gear and stuff, and they put them up in hotel rooms for the night and all that. And when we get up in the morning, the boat's gone. And it turns out that the guy who put together this cruise was running away from the IRS. The IRS was hot on his
small time.
No, the IRS was hot on his tail for some back taxes and interest and penalties and stuff. So he put together this cruise to get everybody's money.
Yeah.
So he would have like escape money, and they go up to this little one-horse town where the communication is really bad and there's no. And they left basically everybody stranded with no money.
Did they find the guy?
No, they never found him.
How
He
the hell did they
disappeared.
get back?
He disappeared. They didn't get back. They had to.
They're now residents of Alaska.
They worked their way around the area, raising money, playing gigs, and doing odd jobs and stuff until they had enough money to book passage back home another way. And
these are the dudes who you played with?
Yeah. So basically they went to Fairbanks and played this fairly lucrative gig where it was 6 nights a week, one night off, from 8 o'clock until 2 a.m.
Oh, Lord.
It was like 6 sets a night.
Oh, wow.
And this is how insane this gig was. After about a month, when we've all ingratiated ourselves with the locals and they're bringing us over to their houses and buying all of our drinks and covering all of our food and coming over to our hotel rooms and staying like 2 or 3 days. I mean, literally 3-day parties.
Okay.
You know, where like, hey guys, sorry to leave the party, but we got to go play 6 sets, and then we'll be back. We'll go with you. You know, so we're already 3 days into a raging party, and then we go down to the club and played it. After about midway through the second month, the staterooms that we were staying in were behind the club, in some building behind the club. Might have been a mobile home, if I recall correctly.
You just can't escape that gig.
And it got to the point where we would just go back to our rooms to take breaks.
Yeah.
And after about the third set, we just like started showing up in our bathrobes. And 3 days of greasy hair and dirty clothes from partying, and just like not giving a shit anymore, because it didn't matter what you did. They already loved the band, so we could do no wrong. And so we started showing up on stage literally in pajamas and robes and t-shirts and underwear and stuff, and the audience just went nuts for that stuff. Oh, you guys like are really authentic. Yeah, we're authentically.
How did you get to Fairbanks?
We flew.
Okay, that makes sense, because I'm thinking that time of year you can't do that drive. You can.
No, you didn't drive. You flew.
You can. There are roads from Juneau to Fairbanks, but they're closed for part of the year.
Yeah, it was like a 2-3 hour flight, something like that.
Oh my God.
And there was a guy named Bucky. That worked at in the luggage department, the baggage department or the airlines that we flew. So anything we needed, we like call back to Seattle. I ran out of sticks.
How often would this come up?
Huh?
How often would the deliveries come up?
Whenever we needed it.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
just like we just say, just take it.
Audio.
Doing it again?
The audio is broken.
Okay. I don't know why it's behaving like this now, and I'm probably not going to figure it out before the show's over. So every once in a while, it's gonna glitch out, and then we're going to
Yeah.
switch it off and back on. Away we go. So enough about that. Anyway, that was a hilarious, crazy learning experience.
Man, I can't imagine that. Fairbanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine Fairbanks. Like when we got into Glacier Bay, that was the farthest north that we got. And that's when you started seeing chunks of glacier and ice and shit in the water. And that, man, that's really special. You got to see some calving glaciers. There's nothing like that. It's very much like they're saying that the video quality is low. Well, crap.
Video quality.
Yeah, we have crap
Video quality
video
is too
stream.
low now. It must be Comcast. It's peak hours.
Huh.
Christ on a cracker. Maybe it's you. Anybody else having problems with video?
Yeah, is the video crap for everybody out there?
It looks
Is
good.
the stream
It
crap?
looks good on my iPhone.
Hmm.
I'm watching the show from here.
Oh, okay. It's okay for Kelly. All right, thanks. Thank you, folks.
Hey Scott, sorry, it is you.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well.
We're also collectively.
Amanda. I can see your birdie mouth. Little Buffalo Bill reference. Yeah. Oh, so the other thing worth mentioning was I pretty much fell in love with Vancouver. I'd never been.
BC.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice.
I have never heard anyone say anything other than like gushing stuff about that city, and now I understand why. Man, I love Vancouver. So, peace, man.
Vancouver's nice. I lived there for a year.
Wow, you did?
Yeah, it was nice.
Okay, so can you explain something to me?
Probably not because it was a long time ago.
Well, in Vancouver, there's like all of these different skylines, and you're like, what's this? What's Central Vancouver? Like, okay, skyscrapers over here, and then nothing, and then oh wait, is that Central Vancouver? Like, I could never figure out what's what. And there's like 4 or 5 of these clusters of what looks like the center of the city.
I do. Yeah, well, like I said, it's been a long time since I've been there, but it did seem to me that there were sort of like, it wasn't a homogeneous city. There was like enclaves. There was areas.
Yeah.
There was West Van and North Van. And,
What was the last year that you were there? When was the last time? So it's probably grown up a ton since then, anyway.
Yeah, mid-70s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably.
But I
Way
used to love to walk there. I used to love to get up and really early in the morning and just take long walks to nowhere, and it was really great. Vancouver was really a great place to walk because you'd go into these different areas and there'd be bridges over rivers and parks, and nice residential areas, and then interesting city spots, and I don't know. I really did like living there.
Yeah.
I did get I got bored with it.
So do you have any OCD stories or butt stuff stories from Vancouver? Or do we need to bring that back local before we get into that?
Probably need to bring it back local. See, I don't know what Vancouver is like these days, but the time that I was there,
doesn't feel very OCD there. There might be a lot of butt stuff there though. I don't know.
There were strip bars everywhere.
Butt stuff.
Literally everywhere, and it was such a trend that it was during the lunch hour too. And there were places where there was one particular lunch place downtown. It was like a lunch place. Hey, let's go over to Schnucky's for lunch. And they had like 8 little miniature stripper stages with its own pole situated around the perimeter of the place. Huh. And there were 8 strippers all doing their routine simultaneously, and they would do a routine and then move to the next stage and just rotated them all day, starting from noon until closing, which was 2:00 in the morning or 1:00 in the morning or something like that. And it was they were everywhere. It was just like when you go to Vegas or anywhere near Vegas, every place has a slot machine.
Yeah.
In Vancouver, every place, even like a check cashing place, they would have a little stripper display in the corner or something. It was really insane how much stripper action was going on in that town. Wow. It was just like, it got to the point where, is there a club we could play at where they don't have strippers? I mean, like, I'm sick of it. You can OD on that stuff. It's just like, oh, enough already.
Oh, man. So had you ever been to Juneau?
No, I've been to Kodiak and Fairbanks.
Okay.
And I think when I went to Kodiak, we flew up to...
Oh, right on, Wayne. Very cool.
I think we flew to Anchorage and then took a little twin prop, little rattly plane that felt like it was going to get about halfway to our destination and then
Tales
just
of the Golden Monkey action, the pontoon boat.
It was not much bigger than that, and it was pitch black, and this thing just shook like crazy.
Whoa.
Oh, and when we landed, oh God, we were just like, thank you. I don't know where I am, and it was this funny little funky town where we played in a couple of places where there were obviously places where people just couldn't handle normal society, and it was like this big escapist thing.
Yeah, the outpost.
Yeah. And the people that
the end of the world.
It was the people that came to the club at this place in Kodiak. You could tell they had enough of the world.
And the world probably had enough of them too.
Yeah, probably. And I mean, there would be just zombies on the dance floor. Just, oh man, it was crazy.
You know, I'm actually kind of low key obsessed with. I think it's reverted to its Inuit name, but for a long time it was known as Barrow, Alaska. You know this place?
Mm-mm.
It's, if you're coming around the west top of Alaska, it's, well, I'm doing it backwards for you guys out there. Just Google Barrow. It's like pretty much on the top of Alaska, and it's one of those places where like a month and a half, 2 months out of the year, this is dark. And then the peak of summer, the sun never goes down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fly in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get it there any other way. Because everything is flown in and out, it's like cereal is like $22 a box. Like everything is like so. Yeah. You think LA is expensive. Barrow, Alaska is off the charts. The football field for the high school is right against the ocean. So it looks like if you overthrow your guy, it's going in the drink. It's so crazy. Reindeer hanging out in the middle of the streets. It's just at the top of the world. So someday I need to visit that place.
Yeah. My last day in Vancouver, a guy dropped by the house just as I was leaving, and he just said, "Hey, I just wanted to come by and say goodbye, love you, man. It's been nice knowing you." And I said, "Well, maybe we'll see each other around." And he says, "Could happen, man. It's a small world." That was the last thing he said to me. And 2 years later, I happened to be in Montana. I was on a trip. I think I was on a motorcycle trip. I stopped in this bar in Montana, and I walk in there, and he's there.
No, I love this.
Yeah, and I'm like, did you plan this? And he goes, "No, but I told you we'd see each other again sometime."
Just, like, talk about Zen master.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been waiting for you, Stephen.
That's-
Wow. That's pretty great.
And then a couple of years later, another guy that I'd been in a band with in Vancouver, I ran into him shortly after I moved to the Valley, around this area.
Yeah.
I heard this guy that, "Oh yeah, there's this guitar player in town. He says he knows you." And I go, "Who is it?" And he told me, and I went, "No way!" And it turned out, yeah, it was that guy. And we got together and had a drink. And
Klondike Bob.
no, I figured his name is, I think, Michael Doucette, maybe, I forget.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was a big smoker, and he passed away years later of lung cancer.
Oh man, what a drag.
So anybody that's wondering what the Hendricks thing is about, well,
I was just gonna say, let's talk about that.
it's the Hendricks performed at Monterey on June 10th,
1967.
and since we're not going to have a show on the 10th, I just decided we're
going to celebrate.
Celebrate.
But you know what's interesting about that is I know what show this picture was from. If I'm correct, this is from the Newport Pop Festival that actually took place in Northridge in 1969.
Interesting.
Actually, like about a month before Woodstock. And it was the largest music festival that had happened in the U.S. up to that point. And we don't talk about it anymore because Woodstock, a month later, completely obliterated it. But it was a really big deal because there was a lot of vandalism and the youth totally fucked up Northridge and the band shows from happening there. But it happened where the old, there used to be a horse track there that's no longer there. Now it's just all the college campus there.
Yeah.
It's incorporated that stuff, but that's where that show happened. And we actually played in our first Malcontents season. Remember when we played that Bananas Slow Blues where he's playing with Buddy Miles and Jimmy's like tripping balls and he just goes for it, and that's from the closing show of that festival. Because the whole mythology of this was that Hendricks was paid a lot of money to do that show, and their show sucked.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
A bunch of gear problems, and Jimmy felt really bad because, they were the top of the bill. So that's why he came back on that last the last show to sit in with Buddy Miles and just like burn the place down. So and that guitar that he has right there, if we saw the headstock, it's actually a Telly neck.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Well, this was painted by some local artist from a photograph, but this is a painting. And
where'd you find it?
There was an art gallery right next to the original VHT factory on Magnolia in North Hollywood, and I just happened to walk past there when I was going to lunch one day and decided to look around, and that was in there, and I went, "That's awesome." How much? And it was an older woman that ran the place, and she says, "Well, it's on hold right now."
You're like, "Not anymore."
And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, how much is it?" And she told me, I forget how much it was, but I said, "Well, can I give you $100 in case the other person doesn't come back for it?" And she says, "Well, he's probably going to come back. I'm holding it for Steve Lukather." He's the guy that, have you ever heard of him? And I go, yeah, I've heard of Lukather. And she says, well, I'm holding it for him.
Wow.
But come back in a week. And so I checked back in a week. It was still there. And so I bought it. Nice. So, Steve, if you're wondering where you
the audio should be good again. Thanks everybody for letting us know when it sucks.
This is really getting annoying. I'm going to contact. It seems to be associated with the audio interface.
All right.
So I'm going to contact RME on Monday and ask them what the hell's going on.
Cool.
They're not going to know.
They won't know.
Nobody will seem to know, I bet.
But this Hendricks thing, Jimmy had ordered these 2 lefty black Strats that he wasn't able to take delivery of because he died. Steve Miller wound up with them because he knew the guy at Manny's, and he just went, hey man, these were for Jimmy. He couldn't pick them up. Do you want them? And on the cover of Fly Like an Eagle, he's playing that lefty, the flipped over, because Steve Miller's right-handed, and so it's flipped over like Jimmy on the cover of that. And that guitar was made for Jimmy.
Apparently Fender also made a rosewood body.
Like the whole rosewood deal. Yeah, I know about that guitar too. Crazy.
That they never picked up.
Yeah.
So, why the hell are we here? We're here because we haven't been here for a while, and we've been thinking about that we need to get back into the routine of things. But of course, as ever, there's never really a routine.
There's not a routine. We just come on here and hope shit doesn't fall apart.
Yeah. But it has been a really crazy, busy, jam-packed, action-packed month. Just on every level, in production, in development, on every level. There's just been stuff going on. I don't know. Is this happening to you too? It just seems like every single minute of every hour of every day is packed with a thing that needs to be completed, a switch that needs to be turned on or off, or something that needs to be done.
Man, I really try and make my days as efficient as possible. So it sure does feel like that, I'm pretty good at making a list of everything that needs done, for the week and then for the day. And it never gets done. Everything takes longer than I ever want it to. And it brings the quality of my life down. It's so frustrating. So yeah, I think the short answer is yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are out there feeling that, but it's the strangest thing is that there isn't really anything bad about it. I mean, of the stuff of the challenges and the things that are going on, and the excitement about the new developments that are going on. It isn't really a terribly bad thing. There's just something going on every day. The only bad thing that happened in the last week that was really complex was just check fraud is just exploding exponentially.
That. And we sorry I did that to you.
One of our vendors contacted us and said, hey, could you send us the payment? It's 3 weeks overdue. And our very cocky account manager sent them back the response: here's a copy of the canceled check, front and back of the check that we sent on the due date that you cashed on the 12th. please let us know if we can be of further assistance. And we thought that would be the end of it. She figured that was just going to be a smack.
It should be.
Get your act together. Well, no, turns out that they didn't actually deposit it. Somebody snagged the check and deposited it at a check cashing place or at their own bank or something like that. And on the same day that we just started becoming aware that check had been stolen, 4 or 5 payments to us had disappeared in pretty significant amounts of money, and payments that we had sent to other people had also disappeared. And we thought, is it just us? And apparently it's something that's going on with the post office.
The new sensation,
just the rampant. At the same time that happened, we talked to different companies that we do business with, and like we work with Synergy Boutique Amps Distribution. We do consulting with them, and they send us royalty checks. They didn't arrive. It turns out that was stolen, and so we had to spend like an entire week. Besides getting all the back-ordered PS100s and PS2s out of the way and all the other stuff, 292 power amps and cabs and heads and accessories and all these things that have been back-ordered. Besides getting all that stuff out of the way, we had to completely revamp our entire check management system and turn everything electronic because we can't use paper checks anymore because we can't trust them. And man, it wasn't really like that was a horrible disaster because it all gets worked out in the end.
Yeah.
But it's just another thing that sign this document, make this phone call, email this approval, and just these little things. They all take a minute.
Yeah.
But there's 100 of them.
Yeah.
That need to be done in 60 minutes.
Sure.
And
sure.
And on top of that, I bought some new test equipment and some new evaluation equipment to
But you also brought on another OCD person.
Brought on another OCD person as a engineering assistant for me.
Yeah.
To help pick up the pace of project completion, because I'm just
welcome, Julian.
I can't do it myself anymore. There's just too much of it. So we brought in somebody to help me manage those jobs and get them completed, and that's been nice.
He does a little cameo in the latest high watt video that we just released today.
Yeah. So we're really jacking up our game in not only in product development but also more rigorous evaluation of the designs that we're developing now and understanding the behaviors of vintage stuff that we never really looked into at that microscopic level.
OCD.
Before. Yeah.
OCD.
Totally OCD.
Yeah.
Looking at what was really funny about it, doing some of this evaluation and doing audio analysis of favorite old amps, was going, it'll be really interesting to see this on a screen, because what I think is going to happen is blah, 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 blah. And then we hook it up and run it through this whole series of tests, and it does exactly what I said it was going to do. And everybody's standing around going, it's not like me saying, see, it did what I said. Everybody's going, that's really amazing. You totally nailed up what it was going to do, what response you were going to see, what performance was going to happen when you push this switch button, blah, blah, blah. And I said it's really amazing, because all that stuff was just sort of subjective, empirical, kind of intuitive design process that I'd been on all these years.
Yeah.
And to see it all validated using sophisticated test equipment was really a crack up. Are we dead again?
Video freeze.
It was frozen. I don't think it's frozen
in
now.
a movie.
It looks like it's not freezing here.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it sometimes glitch. There's a stop and then movie, but the voice is good.
Okay.
You want to take a crack at this, my buddy Pete? And I think he meant an EVH What? Yeah.
A power station type product to properly support a wet, dry, wet scenario, like what we recently got from Boss.
And I
with
think
the EVH
this is his
SDE
addendum
delay.
on here.
I'd like to use a reactive load for the main amp and then have a left and right signal. See, I want to think about that for a minute. And I've watched a few of the shows where I've answered questions, and I realized that I answered the questions on the periphery because I didn't totally wrap my head around what the question was being asked and try to be as accurate and as informative as possible.
Were you drunk?
No, I don't think it was about being drunk. I think it was just about finding the right way to answer the question that really satisfies your need to know why would we do something like that, and if not, why would we not?
Okay.
And the other side of that is that, of course, you sort of elaborate a little bit, which is good. But the other side of that is I haven't actually played with the EVH delay, and my initial reaction, I'll just be honest, my initial reaction to that delay was that, great, just another example of crass commercialization of
I don't
an
even know what it is.
of an artist who has passed on and offering a product ostensibly to provide the end user a feature set that artist originally used that they actually didn't use. But here it is, all in one little box. And
but what is it? Is it like his 80s, like his rack time sound? It's not like an Echoplex thing, like the very early thing, right?
Well, if you want to be irritated,
I don't know that piece of gear because I don't.
Well, it's new.
Okay.
But it's called the Boss SDE 3000 dual digital delay.
Okay.
Okay. And so the first thing that is off-putting about it is the graphic, of course. Because, right?
Whoa. Wait, this is it?
Yeah.
It's a Boss?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a Boss
Okay, I'm
SDE 3000. It's a Boss SDE 3000, but it's EVH-ized somehow, okay? See?
Okay.
It's got the graphics. And here's the pitch.
You too can do Cathedral.
Here's the pitch, and this is what really makes me ticks me off.
Are you being a malcontent right now?
Faithful reproduction of Eddie Van Halen's unique dual Roland SDE 3000 setup, complete with iconic EVH stripes and loaded with his presets. Obtained from the grave. They left that part out. His presets.
Dude, it's got the touring circuit in there. Leave
I
him
mean,
alone.
come on, his presets? What the fuck are you even talking about? That's just...
Kelly, that's exactly what I was thinking. Just like the Strymon Dig or Dig or whatever. And I use that pedal every day of my life. It's a dual digital delay, 2 delay lines. I love that pedal. So, I mean, I would be interested in checking that out. Even if you're grumpy on it.
Well, that's what you cats get for going caveman for a few weeks. Oh, so saying that we're out of the loop.
Oh, totally. I'm always caveman.
Crystal Lattice, the works. I mean, just the whole thing of complete with Eddie's presets. Well, I mean, seriously? In order for me to really answer that question, I have to have the unit there and listen to it and figure out where is the intersection between the marketing narrative and the actual functionality of this tool. That's number one. Secondly, I'd like to use a reactive load for the main amp and then have a left and right signal. I can designate a percentage of wet dry signal to. maybe 100% wet, maybe not. Well, I mean, it's just so easy to do a wet, dry, wet rig with any stereo, decent quality stereo digital delay. That's just those kind of boxes have been around forever, right? I mean, a stereo delay, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? How many years ago he played Monterey and he burned his guitar? Maybe tonight you burn the workstation.
Yeah, maybe. Set fire to
Light it all on fire.
Uh,
So Scott's saying that like your whole thing that you were saying got missed because of
fine. You can build a rack, Peter, just like you're describing right now. You can build a rig using the power load as your reactive load for the main amp. And you can send a line out signal off of that to a stereo digital delay to a stereo power amp,
Yeah.
and power your two wet cabs.
Yeah, and that's what Kelly was saying. Just get a stereo power.
And then send the dry out, the cab out from the power load directly off the power load. So the speakers connected to the power load, there's two ways to do this. One way is just to put the power load between the head and the cabinet, the dry cabinet.
Right.
And in which case, the power load isn't doing anything to the sound coming out of the cabinet.
Right.
It's just tapping that signal off and sending it to...
it's turning your head into a glorious preamp, basically.
Right.
And then you send it to whatever effect you want.
So you take that line out and run it into an effects processor and then run it into the other two cabs. What actually happens in that case then is the power load is using your speaker as the reactive load component. So it's actually your speaker that's setting the reactive behavior of the amp to the line out to your digital delay, and that sounds fantastic when you do it that way. And you don't need any special, particularly branded stereo digital delay to do that. Now, if you're saying, well, I can get these specific presets that Dave and Pete worked on, great. If it's a good deal and it's worth it and you like the sound of it, sure, you can do it with that product as well. I guess if you're asking how to build a wet, dry, wet rig, that's the way to do it. And there are an infinite number. There are as many ways to do it as there are different kinds of digital signal processors to do it with.
I think probably what Pete is alluding to is like, is there the possibility of, almost having the reactive load of the power station combined with the stereo power amp. And so it's all like one station that fits in your rack.
Right.
Which would be like incredibly expensive, I would imagine.
To do it with a stereo tube power amp.
Yeah.
See, now you're talking about, and we've been kind of down this road on this discussion a few times, which is, sure, we can put any number of a variety of the products we make into one big expensive box, and you can have all of that. But then that becomes an all-in-one box, and especially if you start putting digital signal processing into it, then, and we're constantly having this discussion at the factory where how much tech we're going to mix and where we draw the line, because certain technologies have a different point of obsolescence than others.
Right.
So we always use the example of the
Power amp's great.
The
Switching
portable
system's
the
dead.
portable TV with the built-in VCR player. Well, the TV still may work, but you, the VCR part of it probably broke a long time ago, and isn't replaceable. And but then the TV is obsolete anyway. So what does it matter? But when you're talking about something like a tube power amp that's at the quality level of the LX2 or the 252 or the 292 or the 2150 or whatever it is, and then combining digital tech into that, then it takes a product that has a 30, 40, 50 year lifetime easily to something that has a sort of a 10-year life cycle, because in 10 years or so, the microprocessor part becomes obsolete, and if anything breaks on it, well, you know, if you ever tried to get a TC2290 used,
right.
Everybody knows that if you buy a TC2290, it's a great sounding reverb. It's always going to be a great sounding reverb, and they kind of go for around $2,000-3,000, and it's really a crapshoot, because you could get one.
Don't you have one in here?
It's over there, to your right, to your hard right, on top of the fin. You can get one. The seller will swear up and down that it worked when he shipped it, but when you get it, the little multi-connector cable inside breaks or something like that due to shipping vibration or something, and it doesn't work anymore. And once that thing breaks and no longer works, it's unrepairable. You're done. It's done.
Touch?
Don't even breathe on that thing.
Don't even look at it.
Yeah, don't even look at it.
Okay, so forget the digital switching, whatever. What would it take to have the reactive load, the power station or power load, with just on the return coming back, you have a stereo power amp instead of the mono? So like, it's the front end of the power station and then the back end of like the LX2.
It would be,
how much would that cost?
well, it would be just about the cost of a 252 right now, and the size of a 252 right now.
Okay.
Plus the cost of the power load. So you take the power load and take the cab sim out, take the IR sim, the IR section out, and just have the reactive load in there. It's still going to require the space of the 252. So a 2 rack space unit with a stereo power amp in it, and the reactive load function and all of that, and that power amp is about currently the power amp is about $1,600-1,800, and then figure another $500 just for the reactive load part. So you're into
you're up over two.
You're into $2,200 or so, $2,300 for something that you can, right now, you can buy a power load and an LX2 for less than that, and you can use them separately when you need to.
So that's really what you would recommend as your solution?
Yeah, I think so, unless you just absolutely have to have everything. And there's always going to be somebody that, once you put all that together, there's always going to be somebody that says, yeah, great, except I wish it had this iteration of this function rather than that iteration of that function. So they Brendan, you ever had an unreasonably long but good nap? That was me just now.
Oh,
everybody's cocky today. We got a lot of cocky people here today, which is great. I don't get it. What's the advantage of including another 2 amp channels in one box versus an outboard box? Good luck telling your sound man you need 3 mics, 1 left, 1 right, 1 center. I mean, there's all kinds of. See, we had a guy that bought 2 PS100s. To sort of approach that problem, and that's actually sort of a bargain way to do it. But then if you're going to tour with it, then you've got 2 PS100s that you're going to want to rack mount. So now you've got 4 rack spaces for that.
I don't want to carry that.
Yeah, you don't want to carry it. So much of it depends on your application, how much it's going to get moved around, and so on and so forth. But, people tend to think that, well, one of the things that I've been doing for a number of years is really trying to scale everything down and getting in a really compact form factor. But
because there have been a lot of like leaps and bounds with certain things, like transformer size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but still, there's a limit. I mean, it went down this way, and the depth went down, but now you start talking about introducing a reactive load absorbs and radiates a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So it's not just you can put those components in this little sort of open cranny inside the chassis someplace, because it generates an outsized amount of heat.
Yeah.
And now you want it compact, you want it in a fly rig, you want it stereo, you want it to do all these things, but now you've got a little built-in heater in there, and it's going to take more fan power. The minute we start putting enough fan power commensurate with the amount of heat exchange that you need in that product, you're going to be bitching about how much noise the fan makes. It's no win. The best way to do these kinds of things is to make them a component system. I mean, because there will come a time where you're going to go, the power amp works great, the reactive load looks great. Oh, look, there's a new stereo digital delay out there that's better than the one that is in my all-in-one box. Even if it lasted a long time, a better sounding unit that's smaller, that's less expensive.
Well, and let's also not forget this fundamental truth for guitar players. Just sometimes people go, I want something new.
Yeah.
Just because I've been using this for a while and I'm bored. So let's try this, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, didn't that drive like the creation of 10,000 different Tube Screamer iterations?
Yeah.
You know?
And fuzz faces now thereafter, and how many possible fuzz faces can there be? Product development is really it's really a crapshoot. It's really a thought process, and every manufacturer has their skill set that they're peak at, and then whatever the other features that they presume that would be great to have incorporated into that same box, maybe that's not necessarily their bailiwick, and that comes out a little bit weak. And I think that something like the Boss TAE is a perfect example of, has all these what seem like ideal feature sets all put into one box, but once you have it all together, then you find out, well, let's see, there's no way to avoid having your signal be processed through the A to D. The fact that it's got a Class AB power amp in it, it's actually just a sort of a marketing way of not saying that it's solid state, which it is, because it behaves like a solid state power amp. So it does not sound like or feel like or behave like a tube power amp, no matter how much they try to convince you that it does. And so this is where you get this, this has all the things that I think I would need. And once you get your hands on it and start playing with it and experience it, then you go, well, this is kind of weak and that's kind of weak. That's pretty good, but that's just what you have to contend with when you're developing products like that. And I guess it's just our philosophy that when we design and produce and ship a product, we just accept the fact that it's going to be a product with a long life cycle. It's just a habit for us. It's not we're trying to make the longest lifetime product available. It's not that we're trying to beat that. It's just the technology that we're working with inherently lasts a long time.
Yeah.
And requires very little maintenance.
Yeah.
And takes a lot of abuse. It's just our way of making things. It just comes out that way. So when we try to think about how we want to combine other technology within some of the things that we're making, it's another whole thought process. Like what if? It was really funny. The Power Load was the first non-tube product we ever made, and I didn't really think about that until after it was.
So dumb.
So I'm sorry, there's no simple answer to that question. It's a question with a lot of tentacles attached to it, and there is no simple answer.
Yeah, yeah. So now you have another question.
To get the level down to 100 to 104 using the power station and not lose interaction between the guitar and amp, fight Fletcher-Munson curve, will it help to put an EQ in the loop? To the extent that you want to exaggerate the frequency response that you're hearing to compensate for what you feel like is adequate compensation in your specific application for the Fletcher-Munson effect, sure, you can put an EQ in there. The thing is,
can you define Fletcher-Munson for people who
yeah,
don't?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
The thing is that's already more than adequately accounted for in the voicing switches and the presence and depth control. So you shouldn't really need an EQ to enhance that. You can certainly use that and it'll certainly work, sure. You shouldn't really need it. The Fletcher-Munson curve, what he's talking about is how your ears behave, and everybody's ears behave a little differently. Mm-hmm. Like we don't every person's ears does not exhibit the exact same sensitivity to different frequency ranges at different volume levels. So what this is talking about is at a given volume that you're listening to, let's just say a record on your stereo at, how your ears perceive the frequency range of the music that you're listening to is dependent on how loud or quietly you're listening to it at. And that's just random. And that's specific to your ears only. So if you're listening to a record at a certain volume and you turn the volume up, it's going to sound like it got more mid-rangey. You're going to notice that, and maybe the first thing that you're going to do is maybe turn the bass and treble up a little bit, to compensate for that. Now, when you turn the volume down, when you turn it up, it's going to get more mid-rangey because the sound pressure level is increasing, and your ears have a tendency to compress that in a certain way. It's also going to sound like the bass and the treble came up, and the reason for that is because your ears have less sensitivity to the low frequencies and high frequencies. So when you turn the volume up, then it's going to tend to balance out the whole frequency range that you hear. And when you turn the volume way down, the treble and the bass are going to roll off a little bit. It's going to sound like the unit that you are listening to when you turn it down, its bass and treble response got crappier. But that isn't what happens. It isn't the device that's dropping off on the top and bottom. It's your ears that are doing that. And again, another person sitting in the same room listening to the same program material is going to experience that change differently. So it's different for every single person. And then course, it's going to depend on the kind of speakers you use, the kind of amplifier you're using, the kind of guitar you use, what kind of pedals. All these things are going to sort
What
of
room
impact
you're in,
that.
how many bodies are in the room.
Sure, whether it's are there tiles on the floor or carpet?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
lots of things that influence how your ears sort of pick things up, because more reflections in the room are going to be perceived by your ears as more sonic information to process.
Mm-hmm.
So that has an impact. But in general, everything that is included on the PS100 or the PS2 to compensate for that should be adequate for most situations. But is it possible to take an EQ and more finely craft
Yeah, there's
the
always
sort of harmonic
you can
balance
do
that you
that.
want to hear? Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with that personally.
Well, it's kind of the same thing as going to a restaurant with too many items on the menu. I mean, it's the same thing with cab IRs.
Yeah.
You can slug
With
you
plugins,
You can
like-
slog through 200 cab IRs and still not ever figure out
or
which one you like the
synth
best.
presets. Like, I'm always trying to whittle down my tools because I'm one of those people that the more crap I have, it just slows my process down.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
if I'm at the beginning of a project, I'll normally define ahead of time the tools that I'm going to use and not bring anything else. And over time, I've learned that really helps me. So, okay, so no more Fletcher-Munson talk.
So BMX Hog just tuned in, and his amp was the high watt that we had on the cutting block this
The
last
1970?
week. Yeah, and yeah. So he sent an email shortly after seeing the little preview that we did, and he goes, "Is that my amp that you're dropping all the corn chips in?" We're like, "Yep." Yep, just putting the finishing touches on it.
Remember when you did that, you're like, yeah, someone's going to be real happy when they see this.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, if any of you watched that video we just released today, in addition to everything that we discovered in working on that and what we arrived at, I went back and did a couple of other little fine tweaks that I had actually forgotten I was going to do, because we sort of had a time constraint that day.
Yeah.
We needed to get a certain amount of work done within this certain window, and
I had to get the hell out of there.
there were a couple of minor things that were germane to the refinement of the tonal balance of that amp that got overlooked in that video, but I had done after the video was done, which didn't make a huge difference in the sound of the amp when it was completed as it was done on the video, but it did make a nice little refinement, and I think that dude, you're going to be really happy with that amp when you get it back.
What'd you do?
Well, on that particular model, it had 1 meg pots
Yeah.
for the bright and normal volumes on it,
Okay.
as opposed to 500K pots. So
When did they go to 500K?
apparently, see, that's a funny question, because this is the thing about high watts, is there isn't, the changes aren't delineated specifically chronologically. They change around, they go back and forth. So this particular one had 1 meg pots in it, which I'd never seen. And the earlier ones had 500K pots, and later ones had 500K pots.
Oh, wow.
So that one was kind of unusual in that it
Wow.
had 1 meg pots, and I didn't want to change them out because they were the originals. But what we needed to have happen was we needed to have a 500K load on the coupling capacitors in the prior stage, so that the low end would roll off more nicely. So
Does it
we
roll
just-
off earlier?
it rolls off a little earlier. So we
Okay.
just put 500K resistors in parallel with the pots to accomplish that roll off without having to change the pots, which were original, and there was no other really compelling reason to take them out, because then we would just have to put something that was not as cool in there, and they just didn't need to be changed. We just needed to make sure that that the roll-off frequencies at those two stages were where they would be in the later amp if
Right.
it had 500K pops. So
Right,
we
right.
did that, and then I put a new preamp tube in the V1 stage.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Because it
okay.
was just a little bit too linear with that Amperex tube in the first stage. I didn't want to do all of them because it wasn't really necessary. I just really wanted to get that more simmering mid-range
When you
out
call
of
it
the first
linear, what does that impart sonically? Like
It
we were
just
kind of
mean-
talking about it as being more of a hi-fi.
stage. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. A flatter frequency response. One of the things that Dave's amp.
So what would the frequency response look like in a real general
It
sense?
probably
with the
see.
tube that
Here's
you
the
put in
thing. The thing is, if we put it on a graph, you wouldn't see any difference.
it? Until what?
You wouldn't see any difference.
Huh.
You perceive a difference because your ears hear it a different way. This is the thing about tube behavior.
See, now you're being Yoda about this.
You have to be, because that's just the way it is. Certain tubes have subtle little behaviors that your ears can pick up but don't show up on any tests. And part of that has to do with just the way your ears work, and part of it has to do with the power amp stage in the amp has a negative feedback loop. And the purpose of that loop is to add the final part of the process of amplifying a signal, which is output transformers are not necessarily linear in and of themselves, neither are speakers. So we use negative feedback in the power amp circuit to linearize it, to flatten out the frequency response. So if you put different preamp tubes in the front end and they accentuate the mid-range, the feedback loop is going to work a little harder to linearize that response plugged into a static load.
Yeah.
But when we're testing an amplifier to see how linear it is, we're using a resistive load, a static load. We're not using a reactive load because we don't want the behavior of the amp to be influenced by the reactive load. So we eliminate that to see what kind of linear response we're actually getting out of the power amp. But now you go into a speaker and it's interacting with the speaker, and you plug a particular guitar into it, then you start to hear these subtle differences between tubes that
You know what's funny?
it's just the more you look
What it
at
reminds me of?
the more you look at it, the more complex it gets.
You know how people will swear that, well, when I drink tequila, I get this kind of buzz, and it's a different kind of buzz than when I drink this alcohol. And I'm going, it's all alcohol.
It's all alcohol.
If you put it on the scope, it's going to look the same. But people will swear up and down, no, when I drink tequila, oh, this shit happens to me. And you're going, yeah, you put this, if we look at the frequency response of this particular tube, you're not going to see squat. But if we play it, you'll go,
You're going to
I need that tube in there.
You're going
That's
to
the magic
experience
sauce.
something that you can't really, it's really difficult to quantify.
Yeah.
Unless you do a response, an audio analysis of each individual stage of the amp, which doesn't really tell you anything. It's just like, okay, it might correlate to with what you're hearing, it might not. But at the end of the day, and also one of the things that you're doing in changing preamp tubes is, first of all, you're trying to overdrive the front end a little bit. And as soon as the tube starts going into its distortion mode, all this talk about frequency response and linearity and all that stuff is out the window, because now the tube is not operating in its linear zone anymore.
Right.
So that's really difficult to quantify. So basically what I did was I put a tube in the V1 stage. The audio tube?
It's start moving.
Is the audio good?
It's start moving again.
Is the audio good? That's all I'm asking about the audio. Do I have to restart everything? So by putting a different 12AX7 there that has a different mid-range characteristic, when you're pushing it into overdrive, it makes the amp sound sweeter. Now, the whole tube set in Friedman's amp is different than the tube set in in this gentleman's amp. So it's going to have a slightly different behavior
But
characteristic.
here's a question that I have.
But what I was saying was, the last two things that I did to that amp got it into the zone where from there on out, all you have to do is tweak preamp tubes to get it.
I thought you were going to say just turn the damn knobs.
Well,
like you're in that.
No, you're actually gonna be able to really zone in the amp to where you really like it just by from here on out, just by tweaking and rolling preamp tubes.
So if we're all right.
Tell me what to do.
So the way a preamp tube speaks, meaning when the frequencies arrive, is going to change how you experience what you're playing, even if it's like ultra micro millisecondy kind of information, right? And it wouldn't necessarily be reflected on the scope.
Right.
So there's that response time and what it does to the transient. Like, I'm wondering if, because I don't know. Like, if that would be
the implication
perceivable on
is
the scope.
The implication is that it can't be measured.
Yeah.
And that's not true. But also what's true is there is a way to measure it, and most amp companies don't invest in the equipment that allows them to make those measurements.
Okay.
And back to the subject of being OCD, we are investing in more sophisticated evaluation equipment because this is where our product development is going. We're getting more and more into the finer behavioral characteristics of the tube amplifier design that is really kind of my specialty, our specialty.
Okay.
Which is that there's things going on in there that are still left to explore that a lot of other companies don't explore because they're not interested in it. They don't think that the audience, they don't think the customer base is interested in it. And what you see is, like, for example, all the companies that are making modeling gear, they're modeling a Marshall, they're modeling a Mesa, they're modeling a this and a that. They're not developing any amplifier products for you. They are trying to model what already exists.
Yeah.
They're just making copies of things that are already there.
Yeah.
And other guys that are making tube amplifiers are usually making clones, or they're building a modified preamp.
The best stuff that was ever going to be done has already been done. So now we're just kind of cleaning up and making it more usable.
And making other variations of a thing because maybe that's their particular one designer's particular flavor.
And so would you say that is it fair to say that you're going, hold on a second, I think there's more to be, like, you kind of got to look in the nooks and crannies to find it, but there's more stuff to be discovered out here.
There's more things to be discovered, and those discoveries are made by people that know that there are things to be discovered, and what kind of tools you need, what kind of knowledge and experience and expertise you need to do that exploration, and then the tools that you need to get you there. Just like okay, well, everybody knows how to drill for oil, but we need to get more oil. Hey, there's the shale deposits up in Canada. All right, well, how are we going to get oil out of rock? Okay, we got to figure that out. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And how are we going to get gas out of rock? Okay, there's fracking. We got to figure out that technology. This is ongoing technological development in what is generally considered by the major companies to be obsolete technology. And I'm here to tell you that there are a lot of nuances in there yet to be explored and taken advantage of, and we're investing in more test equipment and bringing in
And
talent,
manpower
and talent to actually do that kind of stuff, because it's there to be taken advantage of, and that's where our
Do you remember who George Mallory was? He was the first Westerner to attempt to climb Mount Everest.
Oh,
And it was like, why in the hell did you want to do that? Well, because it's there.
because it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, every time I relay that quote to people, it's like, people either get that or they way don't.
Right.
When you get it, you're like, of course. Because it's there. Like, you don't need any more justification, right?
Right. Somebody recently again asked me, why did you build the ether, and why did you build it that way? And I said, because I can. And that was.
But I think some of the things that you've built, I think the power, correct me if I'm wrong, but the power station, also, the pit bull was cool. Somebody's going to make this thing that we need.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. When's it coming?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yep, somebody's going to make this thing. And then years go by and you're like, oh shit, I think I'm going to be the one that has to make this thing. Like, where is it? Like, I keep expecting it to show up.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Who's going to make it?
Was who's going to make this? It's not going to be me, because I don't have the skill, the patience, the equipment, the money. It's not going to be me.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
Yeah, damn it.
I ended up doing it because it needed to be done and nobody else was going to do it. The depth control, I keep cracking up. I see a new boutique amp every month, and like one of the bullet points, the bullet points are usually mercury magnetics transformers, military spec power switches, variable depth control, like it's a brand new thing, dude. It's been around for 30 years, and like you're and you didn't even change the circuit at all. You just used it. Great. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we all know what that's about. But there's just a lot more ground to cover in there, and we're uncovering it, and it's pretty exciting. We're having a lot of fun with it. But that's the OCD thing. There's more to this than meets the eye. And how do we quantify that and then exploit it? That's pretty much where we're at right now, and that's the most exciting thing to me, that makes me feel like we're continuing to be propelled forward in the industry. But that's part of the show is about OCD, and that OCD thing is just, I know it's in there. I know there's things to do, and I know that there's a way to do it, and I totally understand why the bigger manufacturers sort of don't want to do it. Because they're on to,
yeah,
they're off in another direction.
But that's an interesting thing when you look at the maneuverability of smaller companies versus larger ones. You know, they're like the giant ocean liner that it takes forever to turn the damn thing around.
Right.
And you can actually go, you know what? I actually can explore this stuff in the cracks.
That's right.
You know? So, what do you think? Time to bring on a special guest?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been.
Did you have something else to say?
No, I don't. I think it's. We need to. She's got a lot of fans on her own, and they're always happy to see her, and.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that?
I do.
I hear a distinct buzzing.
A buzzing sound. Yeah.
Yeah. And hold on, we're gonna do some opening stuff, even though it's not completely relevant. All right, and we had Nico-chan in the room, and now she's gone. Is she coming back? Is she coming back? Oh, yeah. It's a Nico-chan.
Hello, Nika-chan.
Whoa, what's happening?
I think she's...
It's a dead bee?
Yeah, we
Bring her back, bring her back, bring her back.
We blew past the window. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Hello, Nika-chan. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Wow, Nico-chan, where'd you fly in from?
Flying from?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know? Are you already hammered?
No, I haven't drank. I've been having a high blood pressure. So I'm cutting down the alcohol.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just a full-blown alcoholic and had no plans to change that up.
Well, I was happy about drinking alcohol. But I don't know.
Actually, we're all kind of like not drinking so much these days.
I'm drinking.
Yeah, I've been
I was
drinking
teased.
waters, and you guys
I'm drinking cold
waters.
brew. Coconut cold brew.
I'm just drinking sparkling water.
That means I probably won't be able to sleep tonight. But
Yeah, I'm cutting down alcohol.
yeah, you're cutting down because you got the high blood pressure
High blood pressures
and you got the butt problems,
butt problems. Colonoscopy thing.
colonoscopy thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did it a year ago, and then they found 2 polyps,
Ooh.
and cut it off, and then they gave me the tattoo in that area.
tattoo.
So yeah, my first
Wait a minute.
ever tattoo in my colon. Yes, what? Yeah,
Joe wants to know what the tattoo is about.
tattoo. Well,
It's a colon tattoo.
colon tattoo. Yeah, internal tattoo. So the doctor can check again. So which he did.
So it's
Couple
like
months ago.
hieroglyphics inside a cave.
Yes. I got my fast tattoos. Nobody can see, but my
But-
doctor. Yeah. So
Wow.
But your doctor and his camera.
yeah. So
A
and then-
barcode?
No, it was kind of like a
It's like a date code.
mini dots there. There was like a dots.
Dots?
Yeah, mini
Like
dots.
Braille?
No, what? That wasn't sexy, but fine. I got my first tattoo.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very
Like
interesting.
Braille.
Yeah.
Except Braille. Maybe is that why they stick their finger in it so they could read the Braille and see when was the last time anybody
All right,
was-
yes.
You
This
guys.
is the butt stuff you paid for, party
Yeah,
people.
so I went back, and then so doctor checked my tattoo, and then so the tattoo area was okay, but he found another polyps which he took off and then sent to lab and came back with the no problem.
like a punch card.
Yeah. What?
Amanda
What?
says, like a punch card.
Punch card.
Wow.
Well, so and another polyp then took off, and I mean the doctor.
So how many polyps total?
Well, the 2 last year and 1 this year, and then doctor said come back in 3 years. The polyp was small.
So you're
and-
starting a collection.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I don't have it in my the cabinet, but yeah.
They didn't give you a little glass, little bottle.
No, I wanted.
Ah.
No, no, I don't know where it went, but
They're storing them for you.
yeah.
There's a special Nico-chan polyp locker.
Yeah, there's going to be some like in 20 years, they're going to find some retired doctor out in the San Fernando Valley that's just got a garage full of these
Full
little
of
jars.
yeah. That's gonna happen. You guys never know. There's lots of stupid people and scary.
The Walt Disney
things
Cryogenic
happening.
Yeah.
Institute.
Yeah. So the doctor said come back in 3 years, and if it looks good, then come back in 5 years. So I have to go back in 3, 5, and then it's after 5 years good, and then 10 years. So 3, 5, 10. That's my schedule.
But so are you going to get back to drinking in the meantime?
Well, I like to, but I'm watching my blood pressures.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm getting old, I guess.
Okay, Nico-chan. So since you're laying off the sauce, how has that affected your OCD?
Well, I don't know. I I have a lot of OCD stories. So,
Regale us.
Fill us in. What you got?
I don't know. The doctor asked me, you over 50 now, so you should have a colonoscopy, or they do the stool sample. Which one you like to do that? And Steve took a stool sample, right?
I opted for
Because
the
you're chicken. You don't like the sticking camera in your butthole, right? So, but I wanted to make sure, because I don't want to worry about my health. So how's the audio?
Yeah. Okay.
Are we back?
All right. All right. We're probably back.
Yeah.
So you were talking about.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure I don't want to do the half-ass job.
You know
That
what?
was pretty
You
good.
know what?
That was way
That
good.
might be the best pun ever uttered on this program.
So I wanted to do full colonoscopy
Okay.
to see what's going on with my,
Okay.
inside. So I don't have to worry about it. But Steve, he didn't want to put the camera in his butthole, so he did.
It wasn't about the camera. I didn't.
You
I didn't-
chicken.
It was that drinking. That.
Oh, I've done
stuff.
it. I've had the
Well,
camera in
that's-
my butt.
Yeah, that was a
Put the
horrible
boogie
moment.
in your butt. Put the boogie
But
in your butt.
I'm going to do it this time.
Oh, it's fun,
Yeah.
especially
So,
the prep.
yeah. So I have to have that experience because why not?
Oh yeah, join the club. It's awesome.
Yeah, so if you're OCD and wanted to know everything, you should do colonoscopy, I think, instead of a stool sample. Because
Yeah.
stool samples, that's like every 3 years. But if you don't, they're not 100%. So I think.
When I went and I did mine, they didn't find anything, and they told me come back in 10 years.
Yeah, because you're healthy at that time, so you don't have to worry
At that
about.
time,
At the time, yeah, you're young, but
I like that.
you never know what's gonna happen.
There's an implication in there that things may have shifted, my friend.
You might have a polyp this time, and then you're gonna have the tattoo. Do you have a tattoo somewhere?
I don't have any tattoos.
That's gonna be your first tattoo then. Yeah, they found a polyp inside.
The cave hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
They'll have a woolly mammoth, and then the barcode for
Yeah.
the pull-up.
Ask give a doctor your design before you go to a colonoscopy. Yeah.
I would like it to look like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Here. Make sure you put your design. Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Ray, you're postponing it? Oh, you don't know what you're missing, friend.
Well,
It's,
so there's a OCD stuff. There's a lot of OCD stuff.
Listen, I'm gonna say this now, because I'm sorry, I'm getting all serious about it. I had my colonoscopy done. I was young to have it done, but that's because my mother passed away from having colon cancer. So she should have had it done, and she didn't do it. And she had been procrastinating, and if she hadn't done it, she would probably still be here. So I'm being all mean on everybody and say, if you're in the realm of needing to have it done, please go do it.
Yes, anything. I mean, not just the colonoscopy. The annual checkup is a really
Do all
important.
the stuff.
Yes.
It all
That's
sucks.
That's one
but
thing
do
that
all
we
the
do
stuff.
religiously. Is
Yeah,
the-
like
And you know what? I want to give you props, because men are traditionally really horrible about taking care of their health and going to the doctor. And that's something that I've noticed about you, is anytime something's a little bit weird, you go in and get it handled instead of avoiding it like so many other men I know. So props.
I haven't always been that way. I got into that later
Yeah.
when it turned into. You know what started me off was
Was it your wife?
having a regular physician, because I never
Oh.
had a regular physician. And once I had a regular physician that I could talk to about any old thing, he just started he just setting me up on an automatic reminder thing. Okay, you're
But even with the saliva gland thing last month, like you're like, yeah, it's a little funky. I'm gonna go in and get it looked at.
because I had a regular guy that I knew I could just go say, hey, either I'm paranoid or this is something that should be looked at.
All right. Well then,
So
everybody get a regular guy.
The guy, the doctor, our physicians, he's also our accountant physician too, and he found her the very beginning stage of the breast cancer, so that she survived. So it's really important. Everybody.
It really is.
Yeah, it's after you done those things, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Don't postpone. Just do
So
it.
you know what it really is everybody get OCD about your butt stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And all the health stuff.
Don't do half-ass
really?
stuff. You do full-ass stuff. Yes.
Oh man.
So that the OCD stuff, there's a lot of OCD stuff. I do stuff at the office, and what was it we talking about last time we were trying to do?
I think you were going to tell us a story that wound up in the court.
Yeah, because of it wasn't the court. That Steve are really particular about the parts, not just the, like that was particularly we're talking. I'm gonna talk about the capacitors.
Capacitor time.
Capacitors, yeah. So he's always talking about buy the capacitor, this value and this blend, and don't buy under, it's between 85 degree to minus 25 degree or something like that. He's always have a request, and then don't buy this brand, don't buy that brand. Make sure buy this or this or this brand. And
over the course of our experience in production, certain brands just
fail,
are fail, and others are just consistent from year to year to year.
And some are probably like cool for a while, and then you're like, it drifted. What the hell happened? Well,
Right,
I don't have
right.
time to figure
Yeah,
it out.
right.
Order other
so,
stuff.
and then usually maybe I don't know the other company, but purchaser maybe just buy the parts from electric store, buy the value, 22 mic, 100 volt. What's called that?
Electrolytic.
That's the one thing I can't say right. Same as a faded out building. I can't say those stuff are really difficult.
It's the R's and the L's that get you every time.
The electrolytic. Oh, audio time. No, audio time. No, audio. Everybody listen. Okay. So the electrolytic, and electrolytic, and then he always said, make sure that this diameter no over 10 millimeter, or he have spec. So I buy the spec, but there's so much capacitors I have to purchase, and the purchase order sheet, I put all the information as much as possible.
Because you're OCD.
Because I'm OCD, and I don't want to buy the different one next time. I want to try to stick with the same one, and then capacitor discontinue all the time. So once this continues, then I have to find something closer. So I have to remember the older spec. That the basic spec doesn't
Tell the whole story.
yeah. So I have to go to a spec sheet and then check all the information as much as possible.
Which is why we hammer on the suppliers about the spec sheet all the time.
Yeah. So whenever I order a capacitor, there is a manufacturer name, manufacturer number, and then the distributor parts number, and all kinds of stuff. I'm just put it on as much as
You're
possible.
logging every little detail you can
Yes.
grab a hold
Even
of.
I don't know what that means. I just keep all those information.
Okay.
And so the system has every purchase orders, those informations is on the purchase order. So, about what 2016, I think.
Yeah, right around 2016.
Yeah, we received a small paper set.
A notification.
Yeah, class action lawsuit.
Yeah,
And-
we get notifications for class action lawsuits
Yeah,
all
so
the time.
all the time. But I think a lot of people is just okay, another
them
class
away,
of
right.
actions lawsuit and throw away. And then maybe if I get it, maybe $3, maybe $10, maybe nothing. Takes forever. So a lot of people maybe throw away. But this time came to business, not the consumer. It's a business.
It's a business-related class action.
Class, yes. So said capacitor. If you are buying, if you've been buying or bought in the past since 2000 to 2016, and from this
all the brands that we
manufacturers,
buy.
yeah, manufacturers, they listed like a
coincidentally.
10, yeah. So those capacitors are like we've been buying, and if you bought those capacitors in the last 15 years, you are part of class action lawsuit member.
And they're going back 15 years.
15
Right.
years,
Damn.
yes. So
And they request a report.
request a report.
Oh.
Yeah.
This
So-
is where it
Going.
gets. This
So
is where it gets
here
tricky.
come. I goes. To me, it's kind of game. Yep, I have all those information because I kept all the information on the purchase order.
where OCD pays off.
Yes, and I love Excel sheet too. I just download all the information into Excel sheet, and then I just made report in 30 minutes for the last 15 years.
And uploaded that to their website.
Yes. And then I just kept the case number, and was it like 1 month ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah, she
just
like did all that stuff, and then we all just forgot about it.
yeah, that was like back in 2016, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then 2 months ago or something, just right before that last Malcontents episode, wasn't
Right.
it? Yeah, we received a check by mail, and I thought it was a joke because it was quite a lot of money, and I didn't understand what's about.
We thought
And-
it was like one of those scam loan things.
Yeah, like
where you-
maybe there's
Oh, yeah.
micro notes that if you deposit this check and then
Yeah, or they'll open your credit line and here's $10,000 and
at 25%.
25%.
75% interest.
yeah, interest rate. I thought that was it, so I just tear and then trying to throw away. But I kind of remember the name and hung in my head on the somewhere. It's like I remember this name. I think capacitor. Wait a minute, and then I check my record, what I done in 2016, and checked all the claim numbers and name of the claimers and whatever. They all match. It's like, Steve, I think this might be legit. This is a real check.
So I look at it, and I look at the claim. I look at the account number for our claim, and I go online, and it's that thing.
So
And I go and I'm reading where the most recent notification is that they just started paying out these claims.
yeah, so my report, I kept the original report. So my report was 69,000 of the capacitor we bought for those the particular
Those
the
particular
makers
brands for that
yeah.
period of
So
Over
that was like a
15 years.
UCC United Chemical, the Panasonic and Nichicon, yeah, all
You
kinds of
brought
stuff.
the receipts.
She brought the receipts.
Yes, I got all the information. So
Oh,
yeah.
did she bring the receipts?
Yes. So there was a 69,000 of the report I claimed, and then check amount was here come $12,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, get out of here.
It pays to be OCD.
OCD.
Wow,
OCD.
12,000
OCD.
smackaroos.
Yeah.
OCD.
So her,
It's a lot of cereal you could buy in Barrow, Alaska for that.
Yes. never seen a class action lawsuit pay off that much money ever before. Usually like $5. We just received another check, $8 from Chase for the mortgage, whatever.
Yeah, we got
Didn't
$8
quite hit on
from
that one.
we got $8 from Chase because
Audio. Audio? Is it audio good?
somebody say something.
I don't know. I just see that we are stopping.
Is
You
the
okay?
audio good, guys?
Good, good.
It's good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
I'm
are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that 69,000 and then we got 12,000 out of it. So this is like a biggest claim check we ever received. So
That's fantastic.
yes, my OCD
paid up.
paid off.
Wow.
OCD.
So it's like,
OCD.
yeah.
OCD.
So I'm trying to like, Nico-chan, if we had to put your job description on LinkedIn, it would be kind of bananas. Because
There
it's
isn't a
like
job description that covers everything that
Got it?
she does OCD bookkeeping. She designs flying penis graphics.
I did.
OCD flying penis graph.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Like, what would you do if Nico-chan suddenly decided that,
We'd have to hire 5 people. To
Yeah?
replace her. Literally.
wow.
Yeah, I was
I
trying.
mean, she's sitting at her desk going, ah, what? There's a high frequency coming from somewhere. And it turned out she was hearing a high frequency that was being emitted by a power supply chip in a product that turned out to be a counterfeit chip. And that's why it was oscillating at this really high frequency that nobody could hear but her.
Wow. Huh.
And we went to Texas Instruments and we're like, why is this doing that? It shouldn't be doing that. We sent them a sample board of this power supply that we had configured, and the guy was looking at it, the engineer was like, well, I don't really see anything wrong with it. I don't understand why it would be emitting this high frequency. And he had this sample board that we sent him sitting on his desk one day,
Yeah.
and his supervisor walked by and said, hey, what are you working on, Joe? And he goes, oh, I got this customer. He's got this really strange problem. His power supply chips are oscillating at 16 kilohertz, and we don't know why.
Yeah.
And the guy picked it up, and he looked at it, and he looked at the chip, and he goes, that's not even our die. And threw it back on his desk and walked away. It was a counterfeit chip, and the supervisor guy just looked at the plastic mold of this IC.
How did it get into the sauce? Like who put the counterfeit chip into the?
Well, because they're manufactured in China or they're manufactured in Malaysia, and they get mixed in with the legit product, and a legitimate Texas Instruments distributor ends up getting counterfeit stuff mixed in with regular production, and you don't find out about it until the customer goes, hey, these aren't working the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, that happened with the Omron tips too before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, anyway. Yeah, that some stuff is really bother me, so I had to go to Steve and claim that's what's bothering me. So, and then some stuff Steve said, well, you're doing too much and don't do it. It's you're overdoing it. But this capacitor things, I think it really shows that my OCD, but it's pays. I mean,
Well, like anything, there's always a line where you feel like, okay, you spent enough time on this project. It's time to move on to the next step.
yeah, he used to hate it when I was folding the receipt in the two corners. It's like,
Yeah,
That's
she's
it.
one of
I
those
thought
people that
everybody doing
perfectly fold a receipt in half at an exact perfect
Oh,
right angle.
okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
corner
yeah,
to corner
yeah.
is exactly the same. Why? I thought it's everybody doing that. No, I think
All right,
that was a
who-
really irritates.
Who
Steve.
takes your receipts, like your credit card receipts, or out of the ones that are printed out of the gas pump? Who takes those and perfectly folds them in half so that they don't so that the fold is at a perfect right angle to the side of the receipt. I want to show of hands.
I think
on
a
this
lot of
one.
people do. No?
I think I generally try and make a good go at getting a pretty accurate fold.
You sure? Perfectly half? Are you?
I don't have any in my
doing that?
pocket to test this. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I won't lose sleep over it.
I purposely.
I do!
Yeah.
I do!
That's why you have polyp tattoos, John.
I purposely don't fold them in half so that there isn't any question as to whether or not I folded it perfectly. I fold it so imperfectly so that there will be no doubt that I didn't give a rat's ass that it was folded perfectly.
Yeah,
Because
taking
you're a
out of
malcontent, man.
his wallet, and then I'm gonna perfectly fold in half. That's
I
what
have
do.
my own things that I'm OCD about, but
Yeah.
they're different.
And I think
They're
that's an
different kinds of
interesting thing.
things.
Okay, here's the question. Is there something that you can think of that Nico-chan is not OCD about?
There's a lot of things I don't. That's the OCD about obsessive compulsive disorder. That's it's some particular things.
It'll be
It's
a specific category with
Yeah.
But
each
is she
different person.
sloppy
It's
about
like
something?
12AX7s. People hearing 12AX7s a different way.
Yeah.
It's specific to the person.
So if it's
Jimmy Ray just said the greatest thing. My hat's off to you, friend. That's funny.
I don't fold them. I tape them together using this toilet paper. I know.
well,
And dreamed on gas.
you know what, toilet
That's
paper.
just off.
Toilet paper that I used to do that too. I'll fold it in the perfectly. Make sure that it's the fold in the four layers. I used to do that, but I tried not to do these days.
You're just trying to chill out a little bit?
Yeah,
Back
because
off a little bit?
yeah, I'm
So,
wasting.
Nika-chan, what is something that you can think of in your life that you are sort of sloppy with?
Sloppy with
Yeah, that you just don't care and...
clothes.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't dress up.
Do you have wrinkly clothes? Do you care?
Well, I have a skin problem, so I want to wear 100% cotton, and those stuff that's mostly t-shirts.
Okay.
Don't need ironing, but when I do ironing, I can do forever. Steve know that, right? I do ironing every weekend.
I'm really OCD about circuit board design.
Uh-huh.
I'll spend hours on one component, placing it just a certain way, and I'll flip it back and forward. I will literally spend 30 minutes on one part placement. Just, do I like it this way? Do I like it this way? It's not even that I'm really trying to be that accurate. I just get stuck in a little feedback loop, and I have to be kind of slapped out of it.
But you are looking at the big screen, and with the 1/16 of inch the moving thing, right? Like you, I don't know what to say. Like you are getting into it. You are watching big screen. So to you, it's a big difference. But on the real PCB,
It's microscopic,
nobody will
Nobody would
see.
it. Right.
Yeah.
But I can't let it go.
But yeah, I think everybody has that kind of.
Mm.
Anything sloppy? I don't know. I'm sloppy in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You used to be sloppy drunk.
I'm
when we
still.
first met you, Nico-chan, you were...
Yeah. I collect my.
You used to come on the show just sauced.
Well, I can still do that way. I mean, but I have to check my blood pressures, and yeah.
We should dig into the first season when you came on, Nika-chan.
Audio? No. Are we okay?
We had a pretty regular hiking exercise regimen going there for a while, where we were in pretty good shape physically, and the COVID thing sort of interrupted that, and we got out of that routine. And I think both of us feel like we need to get back in the physical condition that we were in before that, so that
we can get drunk again.
That we can
I
be
can
more
get drunk and puke and sleep on the floors everywhere possible. That's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was a
to.
shout out to me.
We like to get our yayas out from time to time. We work our asses off. We pour a lot of energy into our jobs, and we like to light it up once in a while. But we've been really careful because
Yeah.
we're
I drunk in the club and broke my tailbones and puke on the brand new Mustang and I
well,
did
that's going back a few years.
Yeah, that's so I have to go back to those routine again.
I don't know if you need to go that far back.
Really?
Was that a good routine?
Well, if
It
you
was-
call
it was
if you
fun.
call having a bouncer throw you over his shoulder to get you back to the car,
Yeah, like
so
an
that you
Idaho
can be
potato
driven
bag
home,
kind of.
that's probably a little bit.
Yeah, well, that was fun. At least
Asking the waitress
at least
for
I
permit
was.
to go into the restroom because the person that went in there doesn't seem to be coming out, and found out that she's like passed out in there, and
And then pants was down the knee, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
that's good stuff.
everybody has that kind of moment. No,
Everybody has that kind of moment.
I think it's all the rock and roll people have that kind of a moment.
Oh, Eric has a birthday.
Happy birthday.
Wow,
to
and
you.
it sounds like
Happy
Eric is
birthday to you.
toasted and roasted. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, happy birthday. Can you sing happy birthday, Nico-chan?
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Eric. Happy birthday to you.
you just officially had Nico-chan sing you "Happy Birthday."
I was going to say,
birthday.
nobody else has ever had
Happy
that.
birthday. Yes. Drink a lot. Have fun.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah, that was the big OCD payback story, that capacitor check.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it was like, what, 20% back? No, 20%, 25%.
I forget if I talked about this on the show, but wasn't necessarily OCD because it was just a one-shot deal. But I had an amplifier that I had put on consignment at this store that I used to teach at. This was, I think I was like 21 years old or something. And I happened to be in front of the store one day when a guy came in and he wanted to buy the amplifier. And so, I was friends with the owner. It didn't matter to him. He didn't want a chunk of my money. So I was like, you know what? Just to actually save the work, like, you don't have to write a check to the store. You can just write it to me.
Yeah.
So he writes me a check, personal check, and takes the amplifier. I go deposit the check, get a call from the bank, or I got a letter or whatever. This check bounced, and I went around with the bank for a couple days. They're like, "Well, we can't tell you how much is in his account right now, but you should probably try and put it through again tomorrow morning." So I tried doing that thing again. Anyway, long story short, the guy closed the account. Just split. Left me high and dry, stealing the amp. And I told the guy who owned the store that I'd had it on consignment I told him the story, and he says, "Okay, go over to the police station and file a report about the check." And I'm thinking, that's a waste of time, man. Like, none of that stuff ever works. He's like, "Joe, just go over and do it." I'm like, "Fine." So I walked over there, and I remember doing there's a logbook full of these sort of things. They give me a little receipt, whatever, and I leave, and same thing as this class action suit. Completely forget about it. And then let me think of what year this would have been. Yeah, so 4.5 years later, I walk out one day to the mailbox. Open the mailbox. There's a check from the state of Colorado at the time.
Wow.
And I open it up, and there is the full value of the original check.
Wow.
She'd probably been pulled over for a speeding ticket or something, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Jackass, come with us."
Wow.
And yeah, he had to pay up, and I got my money, and it was the first time that I went, "Hey, this system's kind of works."
Well, you know
Nothing-
what?
Nothing waste.
That's particular to check fraud. all the things, stuff getting stolen, you know, you're never going to see it again. But when it involves check fraud, they go after that stuff.
It was awesome.
I had to do that with a store that was going out of business, and we shipped a bunch of stuff, and they kited us a bunch of checks, and I filed a complaint with the attorney general in their city.
Wow.
And
That was it, Wisconsin, was it?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had seen on eBay the amps that we lost that were on an eBay store, and I contacted the police department, and I said that, and I sent them the link to that, and
You're talking about, but yeah, what a jerk.
the police department. There was a police department nearby that shop,
Uh-huh.
a few blocks away, and I contacted them and I said, just look at this picture and then go down to that shop down the street from you. It's just a couple blocks away. Just drive by there and look at the flooring in that place and tell me if that's not the same place.
Nice.
And a week later, we got certified checks from the district, the attorney general's office of that, the city attorney,
So just dude walked in and just shut it
Yeah,
down.
yeah, they just went, yep.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't give up. File it and then wait it and then
There was this restaurant in Denver that I heard about called La Mariposa, and I was talking to somebody who had worked for the health inspector's office, and they said that they walked into this restaurant, and one of the guys is like preparing. He's pulling a frozen steak out, and he has it on the floor.
Oh wow.
In the kitchen of the restaurant, and it was, restaurant over. Like,
Wow.
go out, close the door, turn off the lights. You're out of business. It's done.
Well,
Shut them down.
2 weeks ago, it was like 2 weeks ago, we went to a Thai restaurant close to our house. I'm not gonna say which restaurant, and we ordered a lot.
Say it. Say it.
Well, I was going to report to the Yelp, but I decided to not wasting my time, because that happens sometimes. But anyway, we went there, and it was we are the last customer, and
Ever?
That night.
Oh,
that
okay.
night.
All right.
So we, and then we ordered a bunch. We decided to order a lot so we can take some home for the next day's lunch. So we ordered a bunch and ate half and packed half and came home, and then we'll go to job, work next day, and then lunchtime we opened that leftovers and nuke it. I would start eating, and then I see there was like some small piece of something in there. No, it's not. It's not gross.
Oh.
I thought
Thought it was gonna be
something
butt
that.
stuff or
No,
something.
no.
Okay.
But it's a small
All right,
stuff,
all right.
and then
I'm settling down.
I touch it. There was a piece of paper. And if it's just a small piece of paper, I just throw away and then just eat it. Because that happens sometimes, just small piece of paper. But it wasn't small. It was a receipt, someone's receipt.
It was a credit card receipt.
It was like
paper.
it. So I open
food?
it. Yeah,
Wow.
So then I took a video and took a pictures, and I contact by the email, and then just send a nice letter. I know that happens sometime, but I'm not asking you to refund everything. Just for this dish, I just asking for refund, please. And here, if you wanted to see what it is, I took a videos and pictures, and please contact me. They never contact me. So next day I call.
Okay.
And then I explained again, and then nicely, and said they said I think there was a waitress said, oh, manager's not here. Manager will call you back. Manager never called me back. So Next day,
Amanda says a whole receipt.
Whole
Mark
receipt,
says,
yes.
did you fold it precisely in half?
of course I didn't. No.
Well done, everyone.
So, but I kept everything. So, and put it back in everything in the same box, and then went to restaurant, and then just showed to them here. I email, and then nobody called me back, and then the waitress just started calling the manager, and then she was talking to manager. I'm standing right next to them, right?
Yeah.
And then manager said she forgot. So she's gonna call me back later. Oh, what about now? She can just.
She's on the phone right
now. Yeah.
I'm here right now.
now. Yeah.
Let's do this right now.
Yeah. But instead, manager said she's gonna call you back later. I said, okay,
Shit.
fine. Here.
Fine, we're going to come back later.
Well,
like the 12th of never
manager
later.
said she's gonna refund you. We can do it now. I said, fine. I'm not gonna come back. It's just, you have to feel lucky because I'm not gonna going to waste my time to report Yelp.
That was actually nice of you. You went easy.
Some
on
people just get mad, angry, and then just start typing and
Just go berserk.
yeah, but I don't want to waste my time. That happens sometime, and I don't want to be the same stage of they are, so I just let go.
So Sean wants to know what was on the receipt.
Well, I was trying to take a picture of it, but I just see their restaurant name on the top, and then there was a bunch of line of the menu. I mean, the food menu, but I can't really read it.
Oh, so it's a receipt from the establishment.
Yeah,
I think-
and it was
yeah.
obscured by the green curry sauce.
Yeah. All right. Well,
No, there was a pad thai.
Oh, pad thai.
All right.
Yeah, so it's brown, all
so
brown.
it's a
Oh,
tasty ass receipt.
I was almost put it in my mouth, but I didn't. I just. Yeah. Anyway, that happens sometimes.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, Amanda, you're dating yourself with pretty woman jokes.
Anyway, there's a lot of OCD stories I can share. But one thing, is everybody going to the doctor's office and seeing the hanging pictures and fixing the flames, because most of the doctor office I go there, hanging pictures,
Goes in straight. into
they're all click it to me. I have to fix it.
So you walk in and you're that person.
That's yes. If you went to office and then they're all straight, that's my job. I did it.
That's my job.
I did it.
That's my signature.
Yes.
Miko-chan, straightening the world.
Yeah.
If
that's
it's not
right.
straight, I go there. I fix it
You're
for you.
like,
Yes.
Wall hangings are my job. Yeah.
Irritates me. That have to be straight. Yes.
Do you keep the level app on your phone, Miko-chan?
Yes. Of
You
course
know,
I do.
Yeah. All right.
Of course
all
I
right.
do. Of course.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And cellulose noodles are a reasonable substitute for rice noodles. Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say?
I feel like this show is just like our attempt to get our feet back in the water and just to hook up with all of our friends and say hey and that we're all abnormally normal as we can all possibly be. Sure hope you guys are all kind of slogging through things and feeling generally good about it. I think
Definitely. Hope everybody's well.
I did feel like I could easily get caught up in obsessing about things that don't in any way positively impact my life, my friends' life, our people's lives, our company, any of that. So I've been making an extra effort to step back and unhook from things that just get me fired up for absolutely no reason.
Oh, yeah.
Getting too hung up on news stories and things like that. And I'll tell you, having the work schedule that we have has been a really positive part of managing that. Not just because it's work, because just working for the sake of work is not
David.
much fun. But when it's work that's productive and fun, and I enjoy doing, that's really sort of helped everything.
Did you change anything up? Or are you just saying it's
just
always kind of been...
I just started setting a line where I'm not going to let myself get wound up about stuff that isn't going to contribute anything positive to.
That's one of the higher level skills.
It's a tough one.
To kind of be practiced through life, right? Is that whole, what's mine to worry about and what's mine to let go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like a lot of, the deepest wisdom out there. It's kind of simple when you say it, but in practice, it's anything but, right? So I think always doing that sort of reset. Oh, wait a minute, man. Yeah, that's out of my control.
And then here come me asking Steve, is this correct? It is not correct. It is good. It is not. And then Steve goes, let go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my big thing. Let it go these days. Now I'm going to completely change the subject. We were planning on doing a show about guitar cables, and we're still planning on doing it.
Yeah.
With Joy Brasler and Stan Cody from Vendor. And at the time, Stan loaned me his capacitor checker.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you fry it or something? Or
yeah.
fried under your... I'll take the props for that one.
It quit working, and I don't exactly know why, but I called up Stan and I said, I think I aced your LCR meter, and he says, oh, it wasn't a very expensive one anyway. I said, well, that's not the point. Point is,
what a graceful dude.
He was totally graceful.
Yeah, you can break my shit. I'll just buy another one.
Yeah, I said that the point is, it came here working, and now it's not. And I said, I'm buying, but since you introduced me to this excellent tool, I'm going to buy another one. I'm probably going to buy a little bit better one than this one, but if you use this thing a lot and you want it replaced, I can replace that one, or I can just get you one like I'm going to get two, and then you have a bitchin' one too. And he goes, no, I don't buy me a really nice one. I don't use it enough for that to be an issue. He says I would. But I do have my eye on that 50 watt Sound City amp, and I said, well, no problem. I'll make you a super killer deal on that. And he said that would be fine. And I said, and I'll keep the machine here. You can pick it up the next time you come by. So we finished his amp last week, and called him up, and I said, I haven't heard from you for a while. Come on over. And I sent him a picture of the amp, and he's like, he was there in 10 minutes. He was there in 10 minutes. And he picked up his machine. He says, you know what's really great about you breaking this machine? Now I can tear it apart and look inside and see and mess with it. And I won't worry about breaking it because it's already funky.
But he's that kind of nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm going to nerd out on it.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, and I have a question for you. And I said, okay. And so he pulls out this box and hands it to me, and he says, what do you think this is? And I said, well, I know that form factor. I know what it looks like. It looks really familiar. I'm not familiar with this black finish or the Jack's name on it.
Yeah.
I said, but that looks to me like a Univox Superfuzz, a Chenet Superfuzz.
Right, that's the one.
I had one branded Univox, and it was gray. And Chenet.
Wait, when did you have that?
That was like when I was in high school.
Did you get another one later, or did you borrow one?
I have a Chenet Fuzzwah pedal.
The Fuzzwah, that's right. I had that associated with you.
So I said, that looks like a Super Fuzz with the 2-position fuzz switch on it. Yeah. And he goes, that's exactly what it is, and it's yours. And he says, because you were so cool, I just wanted to give you something cool, and so this is yours. But it was like a little quiz. It's like I had to identify it, and then he goes, "You're right.
Well,
you won."
yeah, because it's like if you don't appreciate it,
Yeah, right.
and I give it to you, you won't care.
And he
But
said,
if it means something to you, then
yeah.
want
And
you to have
I
it.
said, you know what's really cool about this is when I was trying to teach myself how to play guitar, there was on the White Album, the Beatles' White Album. There's that section where there's three different Eric and George and John are taking turns playing a solo pass. Dun, 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 they're doing that. I thought that was one guy using a
Audio.
You guys are awesome.
this audio glitch is really crimping my style. But so I thought that they were using this and switching it back and forth because that's the two sounds that actually sounded like they were getting that one really wide open raw sound and the other really pinched closed tone.
Yeah.
So anyway, Stan gave me this and check it out. Look at the foot switch button on it. It says Sinead.
Oh, that's what it says.
Yeah, it
That's
says
really small. I can't.
Yeah,
read
there's
it.
a little insert on the foot switch on the switch button itself that has the Sinead logo. So that was really cool. And I plugged it in. He goes, "Oh, there's only one problem with it. The pots are really scratchy. They're so dirty that you had to move them to try to find a position where they worked." And he says, "You gonna spray them?" And I go, "No. I can make it work just like that. I might spray them later, but I'm right now plugging it in and playing through it just because you were so gracious to bring it over. No, I'm not going to waste any time cleaning the pots. We're just going to fire it up and see how it works, and it worked great. So, Stan, you're the man. I just wanted I wanted to name check Stan Cody for bringing.
So
this
here's the
cool
thing that I've
over.
never met Stan, but
He's a
I
very
wanna know-
gracious human being.
yeah, but didn't he play bass in Giraffe?
I think
With
you
Kevin
told
Gilbert?
me that.
I'm wondering if he. I really want to meet him because if that's, well, I want to meet him anyway. But that would be really cool, and I'd love to talk to him about that. That'd be super cool.
Well, he'll be around. They'll be around. Joey had back surgery recently, so he's.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he had some problems with his lower vertebrae. That
Aye.
was causing him some sciatica. What do you call it?
Sciatica.
Sciatica.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's. I just talked to him the other day and sent him a little love note to say get well soon. So he and I and you and Stan will pick up the ball on the.
I want Joey to help me get a 5-string J bass. I
Sure,
gotta
he will
talk to
do
him about
that.
that, yeah.
Sure, he will do that. So there's all kinds of stuff coming down the pike. Thanks for hanging out with us. I was
And Miko-chan
and
and her colon tattoos.
Yes, that's me.
that was the show topper for me, and I hope it was for you. So love y'all. Thanks for hanging. See you in 2 weeks. Okay. Cheers.
Wait. I don't even know if I have the where's the ending thing? We ready for the ending thing, everyone?
Yeah.
Ending thing time.